All right. So we just spent 2 weeks going over the human proportions, and now we're starting to put them together in a drawing. So I am going to record what we did this week in art class so that you can look at it again if you need to, and you'll be able to stop and start the video as needed. So remember, we always start with the height, and we do that by measuring the head. Remember, we're 6 to 7 heads tall. So again, I'm going to make my notes up here in the corner. If you took your visual notes, then you just need to put a number next to each shape where you took those notes. I need to put these on. So we start with, we are 6 to 7 heads tall. Okay, so we're gonna start by making an oval. Remember, your head is never a perfect circle. Please don't draw a perfect circle for a head. Your head might be a little bit round, but it is not a perfect circle. It is not like a soccer ball or a basketball. All right, so we're gonna measure 7 heads down. You are welcome to try this with a ruler, but I don't recommend it. That might just make you a little bit more frustrated. We're not trying to be that perfect. Move this out of the way. All right, so I'm gonna use my fingers. You can use the tip of your pencil if you need to. But again, I like using my fingers for this part. So there's 1 head, and I'm gonna put a little number out to the side just for the purposes of this demonstration. You don't have to do that if you don't feel you need to. Sometimes kids get confused and they count lines instead of the actual head or the space. So there's 1. And then here's 2. There's 3. Here's 4. 5. Oops. 6. And of course 7. All right, and so what I mean by the space is this is the space. This is 1. Don't count 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't count the lines, okay? All right, so the next thing that we have to find are the hips, which, if you remember, we said are halfway between the top of the head and the bottom of the feet, which will be down here that we'll do at the very end. So we did the math, and we took 7 heads and we divided by 2 to find the half. And we said it was 3.5 heads. So here's 1, 2, 3, which means halfway in the 4th head are our hips. So I think you can see that. You just make a little dotted line. I'm not going to actually draw those, so it doesn't have to be detailed. All right. Then number 3 are the legs. The legs are the entire bottom half of the body. So all you got to do is kind of line up with on either side of the head there and drop 2 lines down to the bottom of number 7 head. That's it. That's all you have to do for the legs right here. Okay. The next thing we're going to do are the knees. Remember, we said those are also halfway, but this time they're halfway between the hips and the bottom of the foot. And we did the math on that in the video where I demonstrated all this. And we said, if it's 3.5 heads, the legs, right, are 3.5 heads, divided by 2, we get 1.75 or 1 3/4. So the best way to measure that is from the bottom. So that's 1 head, right? This is 1. And then this is 2. So we're going to go to about 3/4, which is right about there. And you can double check yourself by trying to make sure that this is pretty much the same as this. All right, so I'm just going to make a circle there for the knees, and you're done. All right, number 5, we're going to do the shoulders. Shoulders don't have an exact place, but they're roughly around 1/4 down from the top of the 2nd head. So you can't really see the line there, it's there. So about 1/4 down or 3/4 up the 2nd head. Depends on how you want to phrase it. You're going to make a line in here for the neck or the shoulders. And guys, make sure that your shoulders come out past the head. All right, a lot of times we make our shoulders really skinny. They really should be pretty even with your hips. Okay, sometimes your shoulders are a little bit wider. You know, guys, when you're a full adult, sometimes your shoulders are going to be a little bit wider than your hips. All right, so there's the shoulders. Then we're going to do the arms. And remember, your hands, when we stood up straight, you put your arms straight down, the fingertips came all the way down to the middle of your thigh. So if this is your thigh bone, your femur bone, this is about halfway. So I'm going to mark my finger right here, and I'm just going to drop a line all the way down to that spot, both sides. Now that looks extra long. Excuse me. That's because we have to mark off the area that is the hand. So the hands are next. And if you remember, we said the hands are the same size as the face. Well, this is the entire head, remember, not just the face. We're going to mark off where the face is, which is about 3/4 of this oval, okay? Now this time my fingers are kind of too big to kind of get in there. Well, I guess I can kind of get in there, but it's probably better if I use my pencil this time. So I'm going to use my thumbnail to kind of mark where that is. And then if I come down this direction, I can make my little line without having to use a different pencil. So for now, I'm just going to make little ovals to show my hands. Okay. And then we have the elbow. The elbow is halfway, remember, between the shoulder and the wrist. And one way that we can check that, first we can measure this and we can just divide by 2 and find half. But also remember, your elbow is right with your belly button. It's always with your belly button, which is going to be about here. If this is your hips, you could kind of, you know, estimate where you think it would be and come over and then say, okay, is that about half? Yeah, that's about half. So I'm going to put the elbows there. All right. And then the last thing are the feet. Remember, your foot is the same size as your forearm. Now, when we look at a person straight on, you don't usually see their whole foot. You only see from the front. So you might see the shoe, maybe going back a little bit. You might see it come out to the side. It depends on how they're standing with their foot. And then of course you might see the bow being tied on top, and then the pant leg, depending on how that goes. You see the pant leg, right? And then there's the laces that go up the center here. This is probably a little bit lower. All right, so depending on how that is, you're not going to see the whole foot. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to have this person standing in second position, which is a ballet term, as if we're going to do a plie. And I want you to do the same thing because I want you to remember that the foot is the same size as the forearm. So I'm going to kind of sketch that foot in like this. Whoops, that was a little too big. So that it's like second position. All right. So this is the basic skeleton that I'm going to have you try to get in the habit of using before you try to fill in and draw all the details of a person. The worst thing is that you spend a ton of time putting detail and rendering something only to find out that you didn't have it all in the right place. All right. So on the other side here, let me show you what this might look like. I'm going to draw somebody in a running pose, like I did in class this week. So again, we start with the oval or the head, right? And now usually when you're in a full run, you're kind of bent over a little bit. So I'm going to have this person leaning a little bit, and one leg is probably coming forward, bent still. The other leg is probably stretched out back here. And then usually, again, one arm would be forward and the other arm might be back like this. Okay. Now, before, like I said, before we go in, I go in and make all this detail, I'm going to check myself. I'm already looking and thinking I might have made the legs or the spine area a little too long. So I'm going to measure. So that's 1. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, see, that's 4 heads. That might be a little bit too much, so I want to adjust that. But before I do, I'm going to check. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. So I did make that along, so that's okay. I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to adjust these just a little bit. Better to erase those 2 lines than to have to erase a ton of, because I didn't put much effort into those lines, right? So there's 1, and then I'll put the other one in. All right, so now that looks a little better. So there's got 1, 2, 3, that's better. So you can see the hips are halfway in the 4th head, just like on the diagram we did on the other side of the paper. There's 5, 6, and 7, all right? So now I'm going to start filling it in. Remember I told you to think of the clothing, all right? We're drawing everybody with clothing. So if this person is running, I'm thinking of the shirt. It's probably a t-shirt. I don't have a picture to look at right now, so I'm just kind of guessing from my memory what it might look like. There's the sleeve on the arm. And then this part's going to come up the back, right? We're going to see the back because the arm, remember, is on the other side. We can't see the shoulder of this arm over here, but we'll see the sleeve kind of come out like that. And then, of course, the neck is going to be up here. And then this part will come down in the front. So now I can kind of sketch in where I think the arm might be. Right, there's the elbow, and we're going to get it narrow into the hand. I kind of feel like, I think I said this during class this week, you don't run with a tight fist, but I tend to kind of pull my hands in a little bit when I'm running. So I might kind of sketch in a little bit of a fist. I don't know how I would want to do that yet. I can come back to it. And then here as well. This would be backwards, right? I might see the hands, the fingers rather this time, because the hand is going a different direction. All right, so I don't have to be perfect here because I'm just sketching it in. And then the shorts. And then there's the calf muscle. I got to show that calf muscle. That muscle is going to be pretty flexed if you're running. And then whatever kind of sneakers you want. And there's the other leg, and of course, the other sneaker. All right, so there you have it. That's just a basic starter. And then, of course, from here, you can go and start adding your details and render it to look like the person that you want and fix the clothes exactly the way you want. You can come in here and erase the skeleton and complete it to your little heart's content. All right, so we are going to practice these next week. We're going to practice gesture drawing. We're going to do 5-minute gesture drawings where this is about all you'll have time to do. We're not going to render the details. We're just going to practice several different action poses. So this video will be up for you so that you can start and stop it and practice a little on your own and double check to make sure that you're getting that skeleton correct. All right, guys and gals, I always use that term. Talk to you soon.